Hello, and welcome to another episode of English Learning Podcast, the place where you become confident and fluent in English, one conversation at a time. I'm Adamy.
And I'm Sophia. We're so glad you're here with us today. Whether you're listening while commuting, relaxing at home, or taking a break at work, we're here to help you speak English with confidence.
Today's episode is one that can truly change the way you learn and speak English. Because let's be honest, have you ever thought to yourself, I really want to speak English fluently, but every time I try, I freeze? You're not alone.
Exactly. So many learners feel this. You know the words, you've studied grammar, but when it's time to speak, your mind just goes blank. You overthink every word. Is this right? What if I make a mistake? What will they think of me? Sound familiar?
We get it. We've seen this with so many learners. But what if we told you the real secret isn't about knowing more words or perfect grammar? The secret is to stop thinking and start talking.
And in this episode, we're going to show you exactly how to break free from overthinking and finally start speaking English naturally and confidently.
But before we dive in, let me ask you, when was the last time you stopped yourself from speaking because you were afraid of making a mistake?
Think about it. We'd love to hear your story. Drop a comment or message us. Remember, every learner feels this way at some point. It's normal.
And by the end of this episode, you'll know how to move past that fear, so you can finally start talking without worrying. Are you ready? Let's get started. You know, Sophia, I've noticed something interesting. Every time I talk to English learners, especially those who have studied for years, they often say, I understand English, I can read it, I know the grammar, but when it's time to speak, I just freeze. And when I ask them why, the answer is almost always the same. I don't want to make mistakes. But here's the thing. They're not freezing because they lack knowledge. They're freezing because they're stuck in what I call the thinking trap. They're trying to build the perfect sentence in their mind before they open their mouth. And while their brain is busy building that perfect sentence, the conversation is moving on without them. They hesitate, they panic, and in the end, they say nothing. Does this sound familiar? It's like perfection is stopping fluency, right?
Absolutely, Adam. And this is so common. I've heard so many learners say, I was in a meeting, or I was talking to a friend, and they knew exactly what they wanted to say, but their mind started doing this crazy thing. It's like their brain turned into a translator, constantly checking, okay, wait. In my language, I would say this. So in English, should I say this? Or maybe that? And by the time they decide, the moment is gone. They lose confidence and worse, they start believing, I'm not good at English. But it's not about being bad at English. It's this overthinking loop that kills fluency. It's exhausting. I always tell my students, the goal is not perfect grammar. The goal is to be understood. If you say, I need water, no one cares if you said, a water or some water. They'll get it. You're thirsty.
That's exactly it, Sophia. I love that. And here's what's crazy. Native speakers make mistakes all the time. We say incomplete sentences, we pause, we say, like, you know, but we don't overthink it. We just keep talking. But learners, they stop. They panic. I remember one student told me, I was trying to say something simple like, I need water, but my brain kept asking, should I say a water or some water? Is it, I need the water? And by the time she figured it out, she didn't ask for water at all, and she was still thirsty. I laughed with her, but it's a real problem. Overthinking makes simple things feel hard. And here's the truth. Fluency is not thinking perfectly. Fluency is speaking naturally, even if it's messy, even if it's not perfect.
Yes, and that's what we want every listener to understand today. Your brain is amazing, but it can also slow you down. It's trying to protect you from mistakes, but actually, it's protecting you from growth. The more you overthink, the less you speak. And the less you speak, the slower you improve. It's like being stuck in quicksand. The harder you try to be perfect, the deeper you sink. So if you're listening right now and you feel like this is you, just know you are not alone. But you can break free from this trap, and we're going to show you how. But first, we need to let go of this idea that speaking English is about being perfect. It's not. Speaking is about connecting, communicating, and sometimes that means making mistakes, and that's okay.
You know, Sophia, there's this one question that almost every English learner asks me at some point. It's this: what if I make a mistake? What will people think? And every time, I see the fear in their eyes. It's like they believe that one wrong word will make everyone laugh at them, or think they're stupid. But here's the truth. It's not mistakes that stop people from improving. It's the fear of making mistakes. That fear makes them stay silent. And silence? That's the real killer of fluency. I always ask them, what's the worst thing that can happen if you make a mistake? And usually they pause, because they realize nothing bad really happens. Maybe someone corrects you. Maybe you both laugh. But that's it. And more often than not, people don't even notice your mistake. They're just happy you're communicating.
Exactly, Adam. And you know what? I actually believe that mistakes are not just okay. They are necessary for learning. Let me tell you a story that proves this. I once worked with a student named Carlos. He was from Brazil, and when he first started learning English, he was so nervous. He wanted to speak perfectly, but every time he tried, he froze. So I challenged him. I said, Carlos, for 1 month, I want you to speak every day, and I want you to make mistakes. Make as many as you can. And you know what happened? He relaxed. He started having fun with English. One day he was in a cafe and he wanted to ask for a sandwich with chicken, but he accidentally said, "Can I have a chicken with sandwich?" The waiter smiled, but guess what? He still got his food. And Carlos laughed about it later. But the best part? He remembered that phrase forever because of that funny mistake.
I love that story, and it's so true. Those little moments, they stick with you. You know, when I was learning Spanish, I once tried to say, estoy embarazado, thinking it meant I'm embarrassed. Turns out, it actually means I'm pregnant. Everyone laughed, and so did I. But guess what? I never forgot the right word for embarrassed after that. It's avergonzado, by the way. The point is, mistakes teach you in ways that textbooks never can. When you get something wrong in a real conversation, your brain remembers it differently. It becomes a funny story, a memory, and that's when real learning happens.
Exactly. And you know what else, Adam? People respect you more when you try. They see your effort. They see your courage. I've had students who were so afraid to speak because they thought, oh, native speakers will judge me. But what actually happens is the opposite. People appreciate that you're learning their language. They admire it. Think about it. If someone from another country spoke your language, even with mistakes, you'd probably say, wow, good job. Right? So, listeners, if you're holding back because you're afraid of what others will think, let it go. Mistakes are not a sign of failure. They're proof that you're learning, proof that you're growing. So next time you make a mistake, smile, because you're getting better.
You know, Sophia, this is something I hear all the time from learners. They say, I want to sound fluent, but I don't know enough grammar. What if I say something wrong? Don't I need perfect grammar to sound fluent? And I get it. We've all been taught that good grammar means good English. But here's what I tell them, it's a myth. Fluency is not about perfection, it's about flow. Think about it. When you talk to your friends in your native language, are you always perfect? Of course not. You pause. You say, You change your mind mid-sentence, and sometimes you even say the wrong word. But no one cares because they understand you. That's what fluency is. It's being able to keep the conversation going, even when it's not perfect. Fluency is flow, not flawless grammar.
Exactly, Adam. And I wish every learner could hear this because perfectionism is holding so many people back. Here's the truth. Even native speakers are not perfect. I mean, just listen to how we're talking right now. We're using words like you know, like, and we're sometimes repeating ourselves. That's normal. That's human conversation. No one speaks in perfect textbook sentences. I remember once a student asked me, "Sophia, when will I be fluent like you?" And I laughed because, honestly, I don't feel perfect when I speak English. Sometimes I forget words. Sometimes I say, "Oh, what's that word again?" But I keep talking. That's fluency. It's about communicating your ideas, even when your words aren't perfect. And when you realize that, it's so freeing. You stop worrying about mistakes and you start enjoying conversations.
Yes, that's so important. You know, I had this moment when I was learning French. I thought, okay, I need to get all the grammar right or they'll think I'm stupid. But then I visited France, and I heard people talking casually. And guess what? They were making grammar mistakes too. Native speakers. They were mixing tenses, cutting words short, using slang I didn't understand. But they were communicating perfectly because their goal was to connect, not to sound like a textbook. That changed everything for me. I realized that fluency is not about knowing every rule. It's about expressing what's in your mind and heart, even if it's messy, even if you pause. Communication is the goal. And when you focus on that, speaking becomes easier. You relax. And when you relax, guess what? Your English gets better naturally.
Absolutely. And I want everyone listening right now to remember this. The goal is not to sound perfect. The goal is to be understood. If you say, "Yesterday I go to market," guess what? We understand you. Sure, the grammar isn't perfect, but we get it. You communicated your idea. And that's fluency. It's the confidence to keep talking, even when you know it's not perfect. Because perfect doesn't exist. Not for you, not for me, not even for native speakers. So, next time you catch yourself thinking, "Oh no, what's the correct grammar here?" Pause and ask yourself, can they understand me? If the answer is yes, you're winning. That's fluency. That's communication. And that's the real goal.
You know, Sophia, this is probably one of the biggest questions I get from learners. How can I stop translating in my head when I speak English? And I get it. When you're learning a new language, your brain naturally goes back to your native language. It's like this safety net. You think in your language, and then you try to convert every word into English. But what happens? You get stuck. You freeze because your brain is doing two jobs, thinking and translating. It's exhausting. And it slows you down. I remember one student telling me he tried to order coffee, and his mind was going like this. Okay, in my language I would say, "I want coffee with milk." Okay, in English, "Want coffee, milk, wait, do I need the? Should I say I would like, or can I have?" And while he was thinking all this, the barista was just staring at him, waiting. He felt so embarrassed.
Oh, I've seen that so many times, Adam. And it's not their fault. It's how we're taught languages in school. We memorize words, we translate sentences, but no one teaches us to think in English. And that's the real key. The moment you stop translating and start thinking directly in English, everything changes. Your sentences become faster, your confidence grows and conversations feel natural. But I get it. Listeners might be thinking, how do I start thinking in English? It's actually easier than you think. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start small. I always tell my students, talk to yourself. Yes, it sounds a little crazy, but it works. When you wake up, say to yourself in English, I'm getting out of bed. I need coffee. Oh, it's cold today. These simple thoughts train your brain to stop relying on translation.
Exactly. And it's so powerful. You don't need a partner. You don't need a teacher. You are with yourself all day, every day. So use that time. Narrate your day in English. When you're brushing your teeth, think, I'm brushing my teeth. When you're cooking, think, I need salt. Where's the spoon? You start with these small, simple thoughts. You're not giving a speech. You're just talking to yourself. And you know what happens? Your brain starts getting comfortable with English. It starts recognizing words faster. And soon, when you're in a real conversation, you don't need to translate. You just speak. I've seen this work like magic for my students. One told me, Adam, I started talking to myself every morning, and after a month I realized I was speaking without thinking. That's the goal.
Yes. And here's another fun trick. You can even pretend to be a radio host. I know it sounds funny, but imagine you're hosting a show like this one. You could say, Good morning, everyone. Today I'm making breakfast. I'm frying eggs. Oh no, I burned the toast. It's playful, it's relaxed, and it keeps you thinking in English. And the best part? You're building fluency without any pressure. No one's listening. There's no fear of mistakes. You're free to experiment. And that freedom is what speeds up fluency. So, to everyone listening, start today. Talk to yourself in English, even if it's just 2 sentences in the morning. It will feel strange at first, but soon it will become a habit. And that habit will change the way you speak English forever. No more translating, just speaking naturally.
You know, Sophia, this is something I hear all the time. Adam, should I just buy more grammar books? Maybe if I master all the grammar rules, I'll finally be fluent. And I get it. We're taught in school that grammar is the key to language. But here's what I've seen after working with hundreds of learners. Grammar doesn't make you fluent. Talking does. I had this student, Priya, brilliant, top of her class, perfect grammar in writing. But when she tried to speak, she froze. Why? Because she was constantly checking rules in her mind. Is this past tense? Do I need present perfect? Oh no, what if I forget an article? And while her brain was doing this, the conversation was gone. And here's what I told her. Think about kids. When they learn a language, do they study grammar books? Number. They talk, they play, and they learn naturally.
Exactly, Adam. I love that example. Kids don't worry about tenses. They don't say, is this present continuous or past perfect? No, they say, I want cookie, and guess what? They get the cookie. Communication happens. And that's the real goal of language, communication, not perfection. I remember one of my students, Ahmed. He spent years studying grammar. He could write essays with no mistakes. But when he moved to London and had to order a sandwich, he panicked. He was thinking, do I say can I have? Or may I get? And the person behind the counter was just waiting, confused. It was painful to watch. And I told him afterward, Ahmed, she didn't care about your grammar. She just wanted to know what sandwich you wanted. And that's when it clicked for him. Real fluency is about having conversations, not perfect grammar.
That's so true, Sophia. And I get it. Grammar has its place. It helps us understand the structure of a language, but it's a tool, not the goal. I always say grammar is like the frame of a house. It gives structure. But fluency? That's the furniture, the colors, the life inside the house. You don't invite friends over to see the frame, you invite them to enjoy the space. It's the same with language. I had another student, Miguel. He stopped studying grammar and started joining English meetups. At first, he made a lot of mistakes. Oh, so many. But after a few months, he was chatting confidently. His grammar improved naturally because he was using English in real life. That's the secret. When you speak more, grammar fixes itself. But if you wait for perfect grammar, you'll never start speaking.
Absolutely, Adam. And I want everyone listening to hear this. You do not need perfect grammar to speak English well. Real conversations are your classroom. Life is your teacher. Talk to people, talk to yourself, talk to your pet if you have to. The point is, use the language. You'll make mistakes, yes, but those mistakes are your best teachers. You'll remember them because they're part of real-life experiences. And the more you speak, the more confident you become. And guess what? Your grammar improves along the way, naturally. So don't wait until you feel ready. You'll never feel ready. Start today. Start small. Talk to a friend, join a language group online, or just say, "Hi, how's your day?" to someone. That's where fluency is built. In conversations, not in grammar books.
You know, Sophia, we've talked about letting go of perfection, accepting mistakes, and thinking in English. But there's this moment every learner faces when they finally say, "Okay, I'm ready. I want to speak. But what do I talk about?" And that's when panic sets in. They sit there thinking, do I need a topic? Should I prepare a speech? What if I don't know enough words? And guess what happens? They end up doing nothing. Silence. And the fear grows. But here's the truth. You can talk about anything. The weather, your breakfast, your plans for the day, your pet. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you start. Because fluency doesn't come from the perfect topic. It comes from opening your mouth and making words come out, even if it's simple, even if it's messy. Speaking is a muscle, and the only way to strengthen it is to use it.
Exactly, Adam. And I always tell my students, you don't need a partner to start talking. You can practice with the person you spend the most time with, yourself. One of the easiest and most powerful tricks is this. Stand in front of a mirror and talk to yourself in English. Describe your day. I woke up late today. I need coffee. Oh no, I forgot to buy milk. You can make it as simple as you want. The mirror is great because you see yourself talking. It builds confidence. You start to like the sound of your own voice in English. And here's the best part. There's no pressure. No one is judging you. You can make 100 mistakes and the mirror won't laugh. It just listens. And after a few days, you start feeling comfortable. You start thinking faster. That's when the magic begins.
I love that, Sophia. And you know what? I'll add another simple trick. Record yourself. Use your phone. Just press record and talk. Maybe for 1 minute. Talk about what you're doing. I'm cooking dinner. I'm making pasta. Oh no, I burned the garlic. Anything. The goal is to hear yourself speaking English. At first you might think, oh, my voice sounds strange or I don't like my accent. But keep going. Day by day, you'll notice progress. You'll hear your sentences getting smoother, and you'll think, wow, I'm actually speaking English. I had a student, Maria. She did this every day for a month. She sent me her first recording, and she was nervous. But her last recording, confident, clear, fluent. That's the power of practice. Small steps. Every day.
Yes? And one more tip. Speak with other learners. You don't need native speakers to practice. Find a friend who's also learning English. Call them. Talk about your day. Even if your English is not perfect, you're both learning together. And it feels safe because you understand each other's struggles. You'll laugh at mistakes, you'll help each other, and you'll grow faster than you ever thought. And for everyone listening, let's do something right now. Whatever you're doing, say it out loud. Go ahead. I'm listening to a podcast. I'm drinking tea. Say it. We'll wait. Seriously, say it now, out loud. Pause for a few seconds. Feels good, right? That's progress. That's fluency. Speaking is not about being perfect. It's about doing it. Every single day. Action beats fear. So, start today. Start now.
You know, Sophia, there's this fear that almost every English learner has. They'll say to me, Adam, what if I get stuck while talking? What if I forget a word and there's this awkward silence? And I get it. That silence can feel like the scariest thing in the world. It feels like everyone's watching, waiting for you to fail. But here's the thing. Pauses are normal. Every speaker, even native speakers, pauses all the time. I pause when I talk. You pause. Everyone does. We all get stuck sometimes. The difference is that confident speakers don't panic when they pause. They know it's part of natural conversation. They might say, or while they think, but they keep going. I remember once I was giving a talk and I forgot the word umbrella. Can you believe it? I just paused and said, that thing for rain? Everyone laughed and we moved on.
That's such a great example, Adam. And you're right. Pauses are not a problem. They're a normal part of speaking. I often tell my students, have you ever listened to native speakers closely? We don't talk like robots. We don't speak in perfect sentences. We say things like, so I was going to the store and, I saw this huge dog, like it was massive. Did you hear that? Like those are fillers. We use them to give our brain time to catch up. It's not bad English, it's natural English. I had a student, Raj, who thought he needed to speak like a news anchor. Perfect, fast, no mistakes. And every time he paused, he froze. But I told him, Raj, listen to me when I speak. I pause all the time and no one cares. Once he accepted that, his confidence shot up.
Exactly. And here's something important. Pauses actually make you sound more natural. I mean, think about the last time you heard someone give a speech that was too perfect, too fast. It felt robotic, right? That's because natural conversation is not perfect. It's messy. It's full of pauses, hesitations, and fillers like, and, And guess what? Those little pauses make you sound more human. They make you sound like someone having a real conversation, not someone reciting a script. I tell my students, don't fear the pause, embrace it. If you forget a word, just say, what's the word? Or, the thing. And the person will usually help you. They won't judge you. They'll be part of the conversation.
Absolutely. And to everyone listening, next time you get stuck, don't panic. Breathe. Use a filler. Say, let me think, or, It's like, and give yourself time. That's what fluent speakers do. We don't know every word. We forget things. But we stay calm. We keep the conversation going. And you can do it too. So from today, remember, pauses are your friend. Fillers are your tools. Use them. Relax. You're human. And that's what makes you a great speaker.
Sophia, we've talked a lot today about getting started, letting go of perfection, and speaking without fear. But there's one big question I get all the time. How do I stay confident every day? I feel good today, but what if tomorrow I'm scared again? What if I forget everything? And I totally get that. Confidence isn't something you get once and keep forever. It's like a muscle. You have to work on it every single day. I had a student, Lena, who was so excited after our first few lessons. She started speaking more, feeling confident. But then, a week later, she messaged me, Adam, I feel stuck again. I'm scared to speak. And I told her, Lena, confidence is built through consistency. You don't need a big, perfect study plan. You need small daily habits that keep English in your life. Every day. Just like brushing your teeth.
That's such a great point, Adam. And I see that pattern all the time. Students feel confident after a good day, but then one bad day makes them doubt everything. But here's the secret. Confidence isn't about never feeling afraid. It's about showing up even when you feel afraid. And the best way to do that, make English part of your daily life. I always tell my students, don't separate English from your day. Blend it into your routine. For example, in the morning, while you're making coffee or getting ready, talk to yourself in English. Say, today I will go to work. I have a meeting. I need to call my friend. Just simple thoughts. It warms up your brain. It's like stretching before exercise. It's small, but it sets the tone for the day, and over time, this becomes natural. It becomes you.
Yes, and it doesn't stop there. Throughout the day, keep those little English moments going. Maybe during your lunch break, listen to a short English podcast or a YouTube video. It could be 5 minutes, nothing huge. The goal is to keep your ears connected to English so it doesn't feel like a foreign language anymore. And if you can, message a friend in English. Even a simple, "Hey, how are you?" keeps your brain active. I had a student, Diego, who started texting me one sentence every day. Sometimes it was, "I'm tired today." Sometimes it was, "I ate pizza." But he was using English daily, and his confidence grew fast. It's like keeping a conversation open with the language. You don't have to study for hours. Just stay connected every day.
Exactly, Adam. And I always say, end your day with English too. At night, before you sleep, reflect on your day in English. Talk to yourself. What did I do today? What was good? What was difficult? It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just for you. I had a student, Aisha, who started doing this every night. At first, she only said 3 sentences. I went to work, I was tired, I ate dinner. But after 2 weeks, she was speaking for 5 minutes without stopping. And you know what happened? She didn't just get better at English. She started feeling confident, because English was no longer a subject. It became part of her life. And that's what we want for all of you listening. Build that daily connection with English. Small steps every day. That's how you grow. That's how you become confident.
Let's talk about something really important: how to handle those blank mind moments. You know what I mean, Sophia? That moment when you're ready to speak, you know what you want to say, but suddenly, your brain just shuts down. It's like your mind says, "Nope, not today," and you freeze. You feel everyone's eyes on you, and in your head, it's just silence. It's one of the most frustrating things for learners because it makes you feel like you're not good enough, right? You're thinking, "Why is this happening? I know this word. I've said this before." But here's what I tell all my students. This is normal. It's not a sign that you're bad at English. It's your brain feeling a little pressure. Or maybe you're nervous, or you just can't find the word fast enough. It happens to everyone, even fluent speakers.
Exactly, Adam. And I wish more learners knew this because they always think, oh no, I forgot the word, I'm terrible at English. But no, you're not terrible. Your brain is just processing. And let me tell you, this happens to native speakers all the time. I remember once I was talking to a friend and I completely forgot the word pillow. You know, the thing you sleep on. I was like, that soft thing, for my head, in bed. And guess what? They understood me perfectly. We laughed and we moved on. The point is, I didn't stop talking. And that's the real key to fluency. Fluency is not speaking perfectly. It's being able to keep going, even when your brain goes blank, even when you forget a word or you need a moment to think.
Yes, that's it. Fluency is continuing, not being perfect. I love what you just said. I tell my students this all the time. When your mind goes blank, here's what you need to do. First, breathe. Seriously, just take a breath. That quick pause helps your brain catch up. Second, use simple words. If you forget the complicated word, explain it like you would to a child. Can't remember refrigerator? Say, the cold food box. Everyone will understand. Third, use fillers. Native speakers do this all the time. We say, like, let me think. It buys you time. It keeps the conversation going. You're giving your brain a few extra seconds to find the word. And guess what? Most of the time, the word pops back into your mind. And even if it doesn't, you've already explained your idea.
Exactly, Adam. And here's something else. Those little pauses and fillers actually make you sound more natural. People think fillers are bad, but no. Native speakers use them constantly. We say, yeah, so I was, like, going to the store and, I saw this guy. It's normal. It's how real people talk. I had a student once. She was terrified of pauses. She thought every second of silence was a disaster, so she would panic, and then she would stop talking completely. I told her, pauses are your friends. Use them. They give you space to think. They help you stay calm. After that, her fluency skyrocketed. Not because she knew more English, but because she learned to handle the blank moments. She stopped panicking, and that made all the difference.
That's such a good story, Sophia. And that's the mindset shift we want everyone listening to understand. Blank moments are normal. They are not a sign of failure. They are part of speaking. So next time it happens, instead of thinking, oh no, I'm bad at English, I want you to think, okay, this is my pause. This is my thinking time. And then breathe. Use simple words or say, what's the word, the thing. That's fluency. Fluency is not about never getting stuck. Fluency is about knowing what to do when you get stuck. And when you master that, you're unstoppable.
Absolutely, Adam. So, listeners, here's your takeaway. When your mind goes blank, breathe, slow down, and keep talking. That's what fluent speakers do. That's what you can do. And when you start thinking like this, every blank moment becomes an opportunity, not a failure. You've got this.
All right, let's talk about something that every learner asks me. The slow is smooth, smooth is fast mindset. Sophia, you know what's interesting? Whenever I talk to English learners, one thing I hear over and over is, I want to speak fast like a native. It's like speed is their measure of fluency. As if talking fast means you're fluent. And I get it. When we listen to native speakers, they do speak quickly. It sounds smooth, natural, effortless. So, learners think, I need to do that too. But here's the truth, and I really want everyone listening to hear this. Speed is the result, not the goal. You don't start fast, you start slow, and you work towards smooth. Because when you speak smoothly, without rushing, something amazing happens. Your sentences start flowing naturally. And with time, that smoothness turns into speed. But if you chase speed first, you'll actually block your progress.
Oh, 100%, Adam. I see it all the time. Learners trying to speak so fast that their brain can't keep up. They're racing ahead, trying to finish the sentence before they've even thought it through. And what happens? They get stuck. They panic. They forget simple words. Or they jumble everything together and no one understands them. It's like trying to run before you know how to walk. I always compare it to driving. When you learn to drive, you don't start at 100 kilometers per hour on the highway. No, you start slow. You practice turning. You get comfortable with the steering wheel. And then, with time, you speed up naturally. But if you rush from day one, you'll crash. It's the same with English. First, you go slow. You focus on speaking smoothly, clearly, even if you pause. And once you get comfortable, the speed comes naturally.
That's such a great example. And I wish more learners understood this because when you slow down, it actually helps you think better in English. You give your brain time to form the sentence. You're not panicking. You're not translating. You're building each word smoothly, step by step. And when you do that, you also make fewer mistakes. It's like your brain is saying, thank you for giving me time to do my job. I had a student, Raul. He always tried to speak fast because he thought that was fluency. But he was mixing his tenses, forgetting words, and he felt terrible. I told him, Raul, slow down, forget speed, focus on being smooth. And you know what? In 2 months, his fluency improved more than in the past 2 years. He wasn't faster at first, but he was smoother. And then, naturally, his speed increased.
Exactly, Adam. And you know what's funny? When you speak smoothly, even if it's slower, you actually sound more confident. Listeners don't think, oh, this person is slow. They think, wow, this person is calm and clear. Because confident speakers are not afraid to take their time. They know it's okay to pause. They know they'll find their words. And that confidence makes the listener trust you more. I tell my students, you don't need to sound like a machine gun, fast and confusing. You need to sound like someone who is in control, and control comes from slowing down.
Yes. So to everyone listening, Here's your mindset shift for today. Slow is smooth. Smooth becomes fast. Don't force speed. It will come. Focus on being clear, calm, and steady. That's the real path to fluency. When you slow down, you give your brain time to think in English. And when your thinking becomes smooth, your speaking becomes smooth. And one day, you'll realize you're fast without even trying. You know, Sophia, we've talked a lot about training your brain to think in English, right? But there's one secret weapon that I feel a lot of learners overlook. It's listening. And I'm not just talking about listening to lessons or grammar explanations. I mean real, natural English. Conversations, podcasts, YouTube videos, movies. Listening is like fuel for your brain. If you want to think in English, you need to fill your brain with English. You can't expect your brain to produce smooth sentences if you never hear how English actually sounds in real life. It's like trying to cook a dish without ever tasting it. You don't know what it's supposed to be like.
Exactly, Adam. I always tell my students, input creates output. Your brain can't create natural sentences if it's empty. You need to give it examples. Good, natural English. And the best way to do that? Listen every day. It doesn't need to be complicated. I had a student, Maria. She struggled to think in English. She was always translating and she felt stuck. So I told her, forget the textbooks for now. Just listen. She started listening to podcasts like this one while cooking, while walking. 2 months later, she said to me, Sophia, I'm starting to hear English sentences in my head, even when I'm not studying. That's when I knew. Her brain had started to think in English naturally. That's the goal.
I love that story. And listeners, that's what we want for you. When you listen regularly, your brain starts copying what it hears. You pick up phrases, rhythm, tone, without even realizing it. And here's the best part. You don't need to understand every word. A lot of learners panic when they don't understand 100%. But guess what? That's normal. Even I don't catch every word in a fast conversation sometimes. What matters is getting the flow, the feeling of English. Your brain is like a sponge. Even if you don't get every word, it's still absorbing the patterns. And later, when you need to speak, those patterns come out naturally.
Yes. And let's give everyone some easy ideas. What should you listen to? First, podcasts like this one. You're already here. Great job. Second, YouTube videos, but focus on real conversations, not just grammar explanations. Watch people talking naturally. Travel vlogs, interviews, even simple English learning channels where they speak slowly. And third, movies or TV shows, but pick ones with clear, simple dialogue. You don't need complex dramas with slang. Start with something light, comedies, cartoons, or anything where people speak normally. And subtitles? Sure, use them at first if you need to, but over time, try to wean off them.
That's such a good list. And here's the big tip. Make listening part of your daily routine. You don't need to sit down and study it. Listen while you cook. Listen while you walk. Listen while cleaning. You're training your brain without even thinking about it. And trust me, after a few weeks, you'll start noticing it. You'll be thinking in English more. You'll hear phrases in your mind. And when you go to speak, your brain will say, "Oh, I know how this sounds." That's fluency starting to happen.
Yes. So, listeners, today's action, start listening more. Podcasts, YouTube, TV, whatever you enjoy. Don't stress about every word. Let your brain soak it in. It's like watering a plant. You won't see growth every day, but over time, your fluency will bloom. You've got this.
And that's it for today, English learners. And if you found this helpful, let us know. Leave a comment, share your progress. We love hearing from you.
Keep thinking, keep talking, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.